Welcome to The Pulse. I'm Jennifer Ray. Today we're here at a restaurant in Excelsior, the Coalition. And what brought us here is our author and guest today, Tiffany Winter, who has written this fabulous book called Lake Minnetonka Eats. And I find the subject matter and the whole idea behind it just totally fascinating. So with that, please welcome Tiffany Winter, our author and guest.
Thank you.
So Tiffany, what made you decide to write this book?
You know, I'm a huge foodie. I love making meals at home, but I also love to make reservations. And so I love going to the new restaurants around the lake, but I also have all my favorites too. I think everyone does around this area. So I had the foodie side. I had just finished my MBA in December of 2013, and I was doing that part-time while going to work and thought, gee, what am I going to do with all my free time now? And so I was just looking for some kind of a creative project. I'm in marketing, and so I love to write and have published some things before, but nothing like this, so I thought I'd give it a go.
Well, it's a big project to give a go to.
Yeah, it really was.
So do you want to share with our viewers exactly what the subject matter is and how you came about choosing this particular subject?
Definitely. The subject behind it is featuring all of the amazing restaurants we have here around the lake, from the family, special restaurants up to upscale special occasion restaurants. I wanted to feature all of those, and so there is a recipe from each of those. There's 25 restaurants in the book. There's a recipe from every single one of them. And then I wrote the stories and the histories, got to know the owners and that kind of thing. And so it's talking about what's special about every single restaurant.
And what's special about them being special around the Lake Minnetonka area, which of course is so special.
Definitely.
So now when it came to the actual recipes that you have in the books, did you choose those, or did you ask them what they thought their specialty was that they were known for? How did you decide on that?
Right. I was pretty flexible on the recipe. I was just happy that they wanted to be in the book. So I really didn't steer them towards a particular recipe. I also, I had some hopes that I would get some of my favorite recipes. But towards the end of the book, when I knew I had enough soups and appetizers, that kind of thing, I would kind of steer them in the general, we don't have any seafood, that kind of thing, and then they would be happy to kind of
Sure.
go along with that.
So now we actually go from farm to table in this book.
Yeah.
So did you start at Galewood's farm, and or what other areas did you incorporate also from the farm standpoint?
Right, yeah. I featured the farmers markets that we have around the lake area, and talked about those and how that's become such a big thing for us. It's, you have that on your weekly calendar, you go every week, you're excited to see what they have. And then also featured Galewood's farm. That was the only farm I talked about just because that was so close to the area. And they do so much for the community, have so many different events, and so I wanted to get them in there. So there's some great photos of the Galewood's farm in the book too.
And then you followed that through the different restaurants, and then for each of the restaurants that you chose, which are all around Lake Minnetonka, do you just want to talk about what communities those restaurants are in?
Definitely. I was sticking pretty close to the actual lake. So there was a few in Mound that are right there. Dakota Junction's right on the Dakota Trail, and they're a great little restaurant that is very farm to table. They have a lot of things from Galewood's farm, Scotty B's in Mound, and then Wayzata with the restaurants. There's been a restaurant boom in Wayzata and Excelsior, so there was a lot of those. All the new ones were in there, and wrapping around over here to Excelsior. And just about every single restaurant in Excelsior is in the book, but now there's even a couple new restaurants since the book came out, so it's kind of an ever-changing thing, but I stayed real close to the shoreline.
And then what you did is in these restaurants is then you also chose to put the history of that restaurant along with identifying a particular food and including a recipe. So is there a restaurant or two that you want to share about how unique their history is or why you thought that it was so unique?
Sure, yeah. I wanted to make it more than just a cookbook, and so it's really a feature of the restaurants and what makes them special. So some of the neat things are Jake O'Connor's here, right in Excelsior. The entire bar was built in Ireland and brought over. So I was actually there opening night, and I met some of the people that had been over from Ireland installing the bar because it's so special and unique. Something I found out was that he named the restaurant after his two kids. Their names are Jake and Connor, and so that's how we got the name for Jake O'Connor's. So there's just a fun, it's a fun Irish specialty restaurant. It's just a fun pub to hang out in. That was one of my favorites.
It is. It's a great place.
Yeah.
And then was there another one?
Yeah, they all have such neat histories. I think one of the neat ones is also Dakota Junction in Mound. Actually, it's a woman that opened it up. Her husband actually works at Victor's on Water, so the entire family is in the restaurant business. And they have less than 10 employees. It's just a small little place, but it's so cute. And about the farm to table thing, they really try to source everything from the area. And they told me a lot of the recipes are actually from her mother-in-law. And so then the chef kind of took his spin on some of the recipes, and so it's kind of a family thing. It's really neat.
A little bit off topic of the book, but you had mentioned that we've had this big restaurant boom, and we have. Do we know what is behind the big restaurant boom?
I think I think all of the locals really knew how special this area is, but I think people outside started noticing how special and wonderful these communities are. I know Chef Eli here at Coalition had been in different parts all around, and then kind of discovered Excelsior and decided to open his first own restaurant here, and I thought that was really neat. And just the revitalization of the different cities. I know Wayzata is really trying to make an effort to become more of kind of a destination and not just for locals to hang out in. So we've seen a lot of new restaurants there and the new buildings and everything. So I think, and also people just love going out to eat more and more. I think everyone's a foodie now, you know what I mean? It's just like everyone has their favorites, and so I think that's part of why there's been a big restaurant boom here.
And Tiffany, in addition to the restaurant specialties, recipes, we also have some highlighted amazing photography of the area and the restaurants. Can you show us a couple of what are your favorites, because you thought that the photography was so special?
The photographs were a huge thing for me because I wanted this to be kind of a coffee table book, not just a cookbook or a storybook. So making sure the photos are great. So this is the angel hair pasta at Hazelwood. It does. Everyone that's looked at that photo has said, "I'm hungry now." So that's,
and they want to go there and eat it. Yes.
Yes. This is a great one of the Dakota Junction.
The Thai chicken salad.
Thai chicken salad. It's a fabulous salad. This is actually my favorite recipe in here. It's very good, and actually the chef told me that they've had so many people ordering this salad since this book came out. They've never even imagined they would ever sell that many, so that's pretty fun too. And then this is a great photo of Victor's on Water. The reason I love it is you can see into the windows. It's just kind of neat how it's kind of an escape away from the street.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I really like that one.
Yeah, beautiful photography all throughout the book. And where is this book available?
It's available on my website at LakeMinnetonkaEats.com, but also a lot of the stores around Excelsior and Wayzata carry it, and it's available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.
And next up, we are going to actually be meeting with Chef Eli, who is the owner here at Coalition, and they've been in business for almost 2 years and doing fantastic. So we'll go back to the kitchen and see what's cooking. Welcome to The Pulse, and we are today meeting with chef and co-owner of the Coalition restaurant here in Excelsior, Eli. And is it Wollenzien?
Wollenzien.
Wollenzien,
Close
very
enough.
German, Wollenzien.
Eli's good though.
Eli's good. So we've got Chef Eli, and he has opened Crave Restaurant.
Yep.
One of the people who made some of the recipes there also.
Originally, yep.
Yeah,
yep,
originally.
Yep, originally, yep.
And then it takes a lot of guts to open up your own restaurant, and he did it, along
Yeah.
with what I think is super cool, his best friend from childhood. So we've got two co-owners, and Chef Eli is going to share with us a recipe that they serve here that is absolutely fabulous, and
Yeah,
he's going to
definitely.
share a little bit about that, and then while some of that stuff is cooking up, he's going to talk about the restaurant.
Perfect. So we're making mussels today. Mussels are a real nice, easy dish to make, and they're rather forgiving in that they're hard to overcook. So we're going to do a simple preparation. Here at Coalition, we like doing things that are minimal ingredients but taste awesome. This is actually a pretty traditional preparation as well. We have garlic and kind of we'll make a lemon butter wine sauce and eventually serve it with some garlic bread, some basil. We have some charred vegetables here, which is fennel and red onions and tomatoes. And then mussels. So these are PEI mussels, Prince Edward Island. Those are probably the most popular mussels in the States. They are off the coast of Nova Scotia. And they're very clean, easy to eat, not gritty at all. So they become kind of everyone's favorites. So the main thing with mussels is you get a pan very, very hot. So I'm going to start with a real nice hot pan. So these mussels are alive, always you got to remember. We've got live mussels, and the cooking process is going to kill them. So I get a nice smoking hot pan, and mussels also cook very quickly. So majority of this process is going to be done relatively quick, getting them to open up and then just simmering the sauce. So we're going to add our mussels. I'm just going to saute them a little bit in a hot pan. I'm going to add my charred veggies. But very quickly, we're going to add our white wine. You can hear them simmering already. We're going to add some lemon juice. We're going to add some butter.
Now, for somebody at home and doesn't have a fancy gourmet stove like this, they're putting it on high.
Very high.
Very high.
And a smart thing to do as well then, if you can't keep the heat as high, would be then just to cover it and get yourself a little extra time to get those open. Yep. And so we're just going to continue to cook these a little bit. And at this point, you can kind of lower them down. What you're making is a butter sauce. So you're kind of tossing in that cold butter with your lemon and your white wine. And then we're going to add some basil.
Fresh cut basil.
Of course, and then salt and pepper. So we're always going to season.
Is that kosher salt?
Yep, and fresh ground pepper. So we buy peppercorns and we crack them every morning. We're just going to keep that tossed together and let it cook there in that nice white wine butter sauce. Mussels are done when they fully open. So fully opened, as you can see, some of these have. We'll let them cook in the sauce just a little bit on a low temperature. But any mussels that don't open by the end, if there's a couple that are persistent in staying closed, you'd want to make sure you toss those before you eat them. Those are probably dead prior to cooking then, and you wouldn't want to eat the dead ones. Shellfish in general, when you think of like crab and lobster, when it's killed, it's either cooked or frozen right away. Lobster, majority of the time we eat it, we buy it frozen, and then crab, majority of the time we buy it already pre-cooked. So mussels are bought alive. We cook them immediately, and then oysters would be another one similar. They're alive until you kind of rip that top shell off and separate it from life, I guess.
So is the sauce reducing then a little bit too?
So the sauce is reducing, the butter's melting into it. We always taste it back here. At this point, it's a little tart, so I probably put a little too much lemon juice, and this is where you just even it out with some butter. So it's not necessarily a healthy dish with all that butter in there, right?
Well, that's what makes it taste so darn good.
Yeah, and then seasoning is always very important. So you always want to taste and season with salt and pepper until you get it to the point where you where you'd like it. We're just going to cover these for a little bit longer, just to get them fully open. I'm going to open the oven here. Got a little garlic bread working.
Woo. Can't complain about that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a wonderful
Do you
garlic
make
bread?
your bread? I think you.
We get our bread from Patisserie Margot here in Excelsior.
Across the street?
Yep. So, and then those we just rub with olive oil and garlic. All right, so crank that up. You can see there's a couple persistent ones that just don't want to open. So this guy here is an opening. He's going to be discarded. Looks like the majority of them. This guy's a little suspect. He doesn't want to open up too much. We're going to get rid of him. Otherwise, well, let's get rid of that guy. Otherwise, they all look open. And now when you're eating mussels, you're going to want a clean seafood buttery smell. So you should kind of be able to get that smoke. Now, if you ever have smell it and it doesn't smell right, it's chances are there's a dead one in there somewhere. And that's not uncommon, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's bad to eat it.
Part of the process.
Not bad at a restaurant. You send it back, get a new bowl. It's hard even back here for us sometimes to tell if these are fully alive or dead. So then we serve it like that. Bread for dipping in, spoon for ladling up that sauce. And that's our steamed mussels, pretty traditional steamed mussels and a lemon butter white wine sauce.
Is that a pretty popular dish here?
Yeah, we sell a lot of mussels, especially in the summertime, and seafood in general in the summertime. We also do oysters and salmon and walleye, of course. We do scallops a lot, but we experiment with stuff. We did a octopus ceviche not too long ago.
How did that go over? Was it?
Yeah, it goes over. You know, it's okay.
But not everybody probably chooses it. But
you know, but other things do go over really well. We do wild mushrooms, which you'd think, oh, who wants to? Maybe would be a little bit more worried about wild mushrooms, and those go over like crazy. But then we do like stone crab claws, which are in season actually like this week, and they don't go over really well. So it's a hit or miss, and we always, after 2 years now, we've tried a lot of dishes and try and figure out what people enjoy, and we do features every weekend, and that kind of helps us write new menus and stuff like that.
So that people watching know what kind of options there are in the menu if they choose to come here. Besides this fabulous dish of mussels, what else is on the menu?
Well, we focus a lot on finding local partners. So whether that's proteins like lamb and beef, and we get local pork, or a lot of like honeys and maple syrups, a lot of vegetables locally. Even in the winter, we can get a lot of greens and cucumbers and tomatoes. So we try to focus our menu on utilizing the ingredients that are available to us, as well as seasonal ingredients. Like right now, citrus season, so you'll find things like kumquats and limequats, and obviously all our different mandarins and oranges. And obviously those aren't grown locally, but those are what people kind of want right now, and those are what are fresh right now. And so we focus our menu on really utilizing those items. So we have typical pastas and steaks. We do Midwestern steaks and grown here in the Midwest. We a lot of fresh vegetables and also cooked vegetables.
The vegetables here are amazing. I love every single vegetable dish you have, and the root vegetable hash on the weekends for brunch is amazing.
How do you cook that makes it so wonderful?
Well, we do use a lot of root vegetables. I love root vegetables, and right now in the wintertime, root vegetables like parsnips, rutabaga, the starches get converted to sugars as they get colder in the ground, and they get sweeter. So they're really known as a wintertime type a treat. So we dice them, we roast them, and then to order we cook them on the griddle. But we have rutabaga and parsnips and carrots and potatoes and peppers.
Sounds wonderful.
We serve with a pesto, which is a ground tarragon and parsley sauce, and so there's some bright flavor to it, and as well as the kind of comfort food of root vegetables. So. Yeah, so.
Sounds great. And then not only do you have the restaurant here, but you're also branching out a little bit into catering.
Absolutely. You know, catering is kind of a natural part of restaurants.
Evolution, yeah.
Evolution, yeah. And as you find more time on your hands and you get a little bit better settled into your location, you know, you get requests for things like that. And so We do what started kind of as a request from guests and doing things for friends has now been a little bit more than that. We do a lot of dinners as well, which is like wine dinners. We have a Valentine's Day dinner coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, and so we kind of keep things interesting outside of the four walls we have here.
So if you're having a dinner party and you're thinking, I don't want to spend all the time in the kitchen,
Yeah.
you can choose something.
Absolutely. You
Call
can even have me come out there and
Yeah.
you know, spend the
Have Chef
spend the
Eli
afternoon
come out
with
there and
you, evening
personally
with
do
you.
that.
Yeah,
Yes,
there you go.
That would be
exactly.
fun.
And then just wanted to mention too, you're actually starting to get involved in a smaller event center locally here too. So
Absolutely,
that if you
yeah.
have an event, you don't necessarily want to have it at your house, but you want
Yeah.
the fabulous food of Chef Eli
Yeah.
and a little wonderful, charming spot to have your event in. That's
Absolutely.
something to check out with them too.
Absolutely.
So, okay, well, I want to thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Chef
you so
Eli.
much. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
2
thank you,
years. That's a
Jennifer.
big deal. You've
Yeah.
passed 2 years. That means it's
Yeah.
going to be great. And thank you, Tiffany,
Yeah.
for coming and sharing your book
My
and the
pleasure.
history
It's
and all of
fun.
the good eats. So with that, I will say thank you so much for the Pulse. Check out Coalition and check out Tiffany's book. Until next time, I'm Jennifer Ray.